Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the marijuana sector. We're going to look at the Canadian marijuana stocks. Tomorrow we'll do USMJ. The SAFE Act is going to be voted on by the House next week. We're expecting it to pass. The Senate is the hurdle, but hopefully if it passes the House, we can get some good headlines and get a little bit of attention on that significant short-term catalyst that has the potential of passing, which could bring some life to the sector. So definitely something to be aware of. CGC weakness continued into this morning. So what I did this morning, or my game plan into the end of the day yesterday, was I entered an initial position, potentially 1 out of 3. If we saw a bounce in extended hours to cool off RSI, I was going to sell that position because a higher open was not what I was looking for. I was looking for a gap down open or a quick flush. So I entered at 25.30s, end of the day yesterday. This morning pre-market, I set my sell for 25.51. That filled right there. That's my order in there. And then I had all cash to start the day. So I did end up placing another couple trades on CGC. Actually, I think one more. And it was just a small flip where we didn't get any follow through. It was something like 10 cents. Between those two trades, it ended up being about a half day maker, maybe a little bit more. So nothing huge. I was being very cautious and protective because we didn't see any kind of shift in momentum that let us know that a real bounce was coming. So I was all cash. The bounce did get a little bit of follow through, and I did not participate in the bounce after that. But where we stand, the hourly time frame, we're looking at hourly exponential resistance. Anything on the hourly chart under the high of the day, 2640, is just an hourly lower high. So next week, we're going to have to see an hourly trend change to be looking for any kind of meaningful shift in momentum. If we change the hourly trend, we zoom out on the daily, and we will look for a daily lower high compared to 28.89. Bigger picture, we're in a scenario where the weekly must hold a higher low compared to 22.76 and must break 28.89 to change the weekly trend, because if that does not happen, it's a weekly bear flag and we're going to drop down and look towards 20 psychological. So the bulls need this weekly higher low, and in order to see that weekly higher low, we have to change the daily trend back in favor of the bulls. And considering we haven't even changed the hourly trend, we know that the bulls have a lot of work to do to try and shift this momentum in their favor in the short term. CRON had a drop as well. The $10 psychological level held, so we bounced off 10.04. It's attempting a bullish reversal candlestick on the daily. Have we changed the hourly trend? The answer is no. We have our low. High of the bounce was 10.47, and now we have to see 10.04 hold and then 10.47 break for an hourly trend change. If we change the hourly trend, we zoom out to the daily, and we look for a daily lower high to form compared to 11.77, our last daily lower high. Weekly time frame already confirmed the bear flag, so weaker than CGC because the weekly time frame already saw that lower low. APHA had a bounce day today. Have we changed the hourly trend? The answer is no. We hit the low of the day, high of the day, so bulls would have to pull back, hold 593, and then break 622 to change the hourly trend, in which instance we would zoom out and look for a daily lower high, because anything under 714 is a daily lower high. But APHA is still forming this weekly equilibrium. Low, high, higher low, lower high, and we held support. 579 was a must-hold support level. We bounced off of 593. So we are still in a tightening range. As I've been saying for a month, APHA has an opportunity to take the lead in the Canadian MJ sector, technically speaking. We must see a weekly trend change. So if we cannot break 714 at any point in the next couple of weeks, and we need to break 760 after that for follow-through, then we don't do anything, and the bulls don't prove anything. But it's right there for the taking. We know what needs to happen. Now it's up to the bulls to see that follow through. We need ACB to hit a bottom, which hasn't happened yet. Again, it's very similar to CGC. CGC after earnings just faded. We had downgrades. We had bearish articles, and it ended up taking 10 days before the bottom was hit, and then we saw a 25% bounce. So ACB at this point is on 7 days And we're watching for that shift in momentum because there should be a solid 5 to 10% bounce when we do find that low. And that's a conservative estimate. So the hourly time frame is just trading sideways here. The bulls need to hold the low of today, break the high of today. And anything under 650 is a daily lower high. We will just be looking for a daily lower high, but we're looking for the scales to tilt where everybody that's going to sell and everybody that's going to short has already done so. And we're getting close to that point, in my opinion. And then we'll look for that daily lower high. TLRY, bear break of its tightening range by breaking under 2907. We only dropped down to 28.98, so it's not a very convincing break yet, but we did close at the low of the day, showing the bears having momentum in their favor. The next support level is 27.77, and then the bottom of 25.15. Anything on the daily under 32.77 is just a daily lower high, so the bears are comfortably in control because TLRY has not changed the daily trend ever since this weakness really got going in August. VFF, unable to get any follow-through on a bounce and close at the low of the day. So all this bounce did yesterday was cool off RSI levels. The hourly RSI was oversold. The 4-hour RSI was on the verge of oversold. We bounced, we cooled off both RSI levels, and then we dropped down to a lower low. So we're now looking down at that level of 10.05, which is a must hold. If that level is lost, we are then in a weekly downtrend. And technically, we never changed the uptrend. We never entered a weekly uptrend. We have our low, big bounce, higher low, lower high. And if we break 10.05, it's a lower high and a lower low, keeping the bears in full control. We have to hold 10.05 and see the pattern of a lower high every single day, which has been intact the last 7 days. That has to break. And we have to form that higher low to stay in the weekly equilibrium. Best case for the bulls is for a higher low to form and then a bounce for a lower high in the low to mid $11 range. But again, close at the low of the day shows bears have momentum in their favor. TGOD, nice double bottom. So 219 is the lowest price that we've seen. That's the all-time low. And we bounced off 220. Nice solid bounce. If you are not in a position at this point, you are not entering up here. We have already bounced. I mean, this is a very high-risk, high-reward name. We dropped 28% in 7 days, and we've bounced 22% in 3 days. So obviously a ton of volatility, but at this point, you're not going to be entering when a stock's in a daily downtrend and it's already bounced 22%. So the volume is declining. We're not seeing increasing volume, which means patiently wait. If you're looking for an entry, look for a daily higher low to form. We know we have to change the daily trend for any kind of meaningful follow through, and a daily trend change is a daily higher low accompanied by a higher high. So when we lose the hourly uptrend, and right now the hourly higher low is 251, but when we lose the hourly uptrend, we will look for a daily higher low to form. The size of the bounce at this point indicates that the most likely scenario is for a daily higher low to form compared to 220. The question will then be, can we get that daily trend change and follow through with it? On the weekly time frame, anything under 353 is just a weekly lower high. So one step at a time. Once we top out, scouting a daily higher low. HEXO, so we had a bunch of coverage initiated today by some analysts. HEXO was a buy, and you can see it clearly had a major impact on the stock. Curaleaf was a sell. It was down 5 percentage points today, recovered by the end of the day, but Curaleaf and ACB were initiated as sells. So the stocks clearly reacted today to that coverage initiation, and we got our daily higher low that HEXO bulls have been patiently waiting for, and we got it in a big way. So this is now a great pattern. This is you could call it an inverse head and shoulders pattern, but I'm basically just watching this range. Higher low is set, and now we're looking for a lower high compared to 475. And if we get that, then we'll look for another higher low compared to 391, our recent bottom. So we're watching for the equilibrium and tightening pattern, and it's all about 475 resistance into next week. And now the most important support level is 391. Congrats to the bulls that got in on this move, because again, bulls were on fire after an initial sell-off quickly first thing, complete turnaround and recovery. OGI. So OGI on the daily time frame is still weak. 397 is the only support level nearby. Solid bounce, very solid bounce. 30%, and then just gave it all back. No daily trend change with follow through. We had our higher low, lower high, lower low. Gave it all back. Have to hold 397, but even if we do, any bounce on the daily under 495 is just a daily lower high, keeping those bears in full control. VGW, healthy consolidation. Not giving back much of the move at this point, but also the lower wicks showing the bulls buying the dip. We need an hourly trend change. And we have our low, high, higher low is 389. Bulls have to break 401 to change the hourly trend and indicate the daily higher low has been established. Bulls would love if this is our daily higher low, because that's a continuation pattern where if we were to drop down under 380, it then becomes more of an equilibrium kind of pattern. Anything above 341 is a daily higher low, so that's not at risk of being lost. And the bulls need to turn around, break 401 and 414, and try and see continuation of this move, keeping in mind that that all-time high is not too far away when you compare it to other names in the sector. LABS, daily time frame still really struggling. Low, high, our higher low formed at 451. Our lower high is now 514, and that's the range. A break of 451, and we're looking back at the low, and if the bulls can turn around and break 514, we will change the daily trend in favor of the bulls for the first time in a long time. And RTH, also in a tightening range, 72. So we got our low, high, higher low, lower high, and the bulls are hoping to form a higher low compared to 74. We'll need more convincing action, but the most important range, 74 support, 83 resistance, and we've been in this tightening range for almost a month at this point. And last, we got KHRN, also struggling to get any follow through on any daily trend changes. 133 and 135 are our only short-term supports. Anything on the daily under 162 is just a lower high. Bulls are trying to change the weekly trend by holding 133, and we would have to break 176 to change this weekly trend. So, long story short, for the Canadian MJ space as a whole, some names like HEXO got a nice boost today. TGOD's having a nice bounce, but we haven't changed the daily trend on TGOD. So just keep that in mind. Great percentage gains, but we've seen these bounces in the US MJ space and the Canadian MJ space where we bounce 20, 30% and then just slowly fade and give it all back. So what we're going to be looking for is continuation and follow through, and it all starts with the daily trend change. So we will need to see a daily trend change on TGOD. We've got HEXO with a clear equilibrium on the longer term perspective to be watching over the last month plus. And I'm really liking that setup for a break. If we form a lower high early next week, we will probably not see a break until early October. Other than that, some short-term oversold bounces in the major names, but not really doing a whole lot. Bigger picture to change momentum. And we'll keep our eye on the SAFE Act getting a vote next week. I appreciate you watching. Do good things out there. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon.